Welcome into Locked On Phillies. The Phillies got shut out again yesterday. They lose their series to the San Diego Padres. And the word of the day that we're getting into is consistency. How did the Phillies get there? We'll preview their next upcoming series with the Los Angeles Angels. And we'll also have a poll question for you in today's Locked On Phillies.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
That's right. This is Locked On Phillies. I'm your host, Connor Thomas. Thank you for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. The Phils, well, if you saw yesterday's game, you already know where I'm going. They got shut out again for the second time in the series against the San Diego Padres. It was a weird series, 3 shutouts in 3 games. The Phillies shut the Padres out in game 2. The Phillies were shut out in games 1 and 3. They lost yesterday 2-0. Real quick before we get into the consistency thing, let's just go through exactly how we got to this point where the Philadelphia Phillies ended up losing this series. Well, the scoring only happened in 1 inning. The 4th inning was the only time that the Philadelphia Phillies gave up runs, but it was all that was needed to be given up after a strong start by Yu Darvish for the San Diego Padres. Robinson Cano had an RBI single to right, scoring Jurickson Profar, and Will Myers moved up to third on that one. And Will Myers scored on a sacrifice fly. I believe it was the very next at bat. And just like that, 2-0 in the 4th, and Yu Darvish was shut down. He went 7 innings pitched. He had no earned runs, 5 strikeouts, no walks. Kyle Gibson wasn't bad. He went 5 2/3 innings pitched. He only gave up 2 earned runs, and they were both in that 4th inning. And he had 7 Ks, no walks. It's another one where you got good starting pitching, and the offense just didn't show up. Well, did they not show up? Because of the offense, they had 8 hits in this game. They just couldn't string it together. Let's take a look at the box score real quick to see exactly what went on against Yu Darvish. And well, Rhys Hoskins was 2 for 4. He had a solid day in a leadoff spot. He's batting .239 now. Alec Bohm 1 for 4. He's dipped in his average a little bit, but still hitting .300 on the nose. Kyle Schwarber was 1 for 4, but batting .189. That's not good enough. Nick Castellanos 0 for 4. He's on a bit of a slide right now, batting .271. JT Realmuto also 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts. He's down to .230 on the year batting average-wise. Odubel Herrera was 1 for 4. He's batting .262, not bad. Johan Camargo is down to .253, but he did have a hit in the game. It went 1 for 3. Garrett Stubbs was 1 for 3 with one of the weirdest bunt singles I've ever seen. It was like in the air to shallow second base, but the second baseman was playing back, so it dropped, and they tried to glove flip it to first. Didn't get him in time. That was his only hit, and Gene Segura pinch hit, struck out. Finally, Bryson Stott went 1 for 3, but he's only batting .140 on the year. It's not going to cut it. But the crazy thing is, right, the offensive number for the Phillies, they're still the 3rd best team as far as average in Major League Baseball. The record doesn't reflect it. So something I want to talk about is consistency. And we don't have all that much to say about that game against the Padres. Gibson looked good. Darvish looked better. The Padres bullpen is solid. And the Phillies offense, well, they didn't come up with clutch hits. But I was having a conversation on the John Kincaid show this morning over on 97.5 The Fanatic. Funny enough, if you listen to Locked On Sixers, you know Devon Givens, who's one of the new hosts of Locked On Sixers, is co-hosting with Keith Pompey on our Locked On network over there in our basketball channel. And Devon jumped on with us on the morning show because he also works over at 97.5 The Fanatic with me. He normally does nights. Great to listen to. If you listen to us in the morning on 97.5 The Fanatic, definitely go ahead and check out Devon when you get a chance. From normally 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. on weeknights. But Devon asked the question about sustainability. Is what the Phillies are doing right now sustainable? Like, can they stay in the NL East race, the playoff race, the wild card race, whatever it may be? Can they stay competitive when they have this lack of consistency like this? And we went around the room, and everybody said no. Like, there's no way. If they stay inconsistent, they're not going to be able to catch the Mets. They're not going to be able to hang with some of the power teams out in the NL West. They're not going to be able to find one of those 2 wild card spots. They're not going to be a playoff team. And then it got to me, and I vehemently disagreed with all of them. And let me talk you through a little bit of the reason why, and something that I think might be at the crux of the issue when it comes to the Philadelphia Phillies' early struggles. Now, Joe Girardi is trying. You can say that for him. But the lineup, well, there's been so many moves. There have been so many inconsistencies. Guys are up and down the lineup, batting in different spots, playing in different positions, all of this stuff. And I understand Mickey Moniak getting hurt in spring training on the last game. Not great. Bryce Harper having the UCL issue, not being able to play. Not great. Odubel Herrera, Roman Quinn, Matt Beering, the rotating door at center field following Mickey Moniak, not ideal. And then you're shifting guys around from left to right to DH with Castellanos and Schwarber and everything going on there. I understand. There are reasons, off days, injuries, performance, where you have to move the lineup around a little bit. But I feel like Joe Girardi is doing too much. And here's why. I think what the Phillies need to do is create sustainability. Not that what they're doing now is not sustainable. What I'm thinking is, well, all they need to do, their numbers look good. They're a good hitting team by the numbers. They're a good pitching team by the numbers. They're not great defensively, but they're not bad defensively so far this year. Like you can win with the defense the Philadelphia Phillies are playing. I just think there's too much. I think that whole sustainability idea, like we have to fix these problems and we're going to tinker with it until we do, is what's causing the issues. Just set a lineup. I don't care who bats where. I don't care if Odubel Herrera leads off or if Bryce Harper leads off. Doesn't matter to me. But put guys out there, keep them in their spots. Same day, every day. Rhys Hoskins bat leadoff. Just an example. JT Realmuto bats in the 2-hole. Bryce Harper bats 3. Kyle Schwarber bats 4. Like, just do this stuff and leave it alone for a period of like a month. I understand people are going to have off days. Insert guys into those spots. Don't be like, so if you have Kyle Schwarber batting cleanup, which I wouldn't at this spot. These are just examples. But if you have Kyle Schwarber batting cleanup and he needs a day off, what you don't do is you don't move Nick Castellanos from wherever he's batting to the cleanup spot. Leave it the same. Insert someone else in the cleanup spot. Your best power hitter off the bench, put him in the outfield. I don't know. Just keep consistency with these guys because I feel like the inconsistency that's being created by shifting these lineups around is what's creating what seems like instability or unsustainability. No, the Phillies can win if they sustain this level of production. They're producing. It's just for some reason it's not coming together, and I think it's because the manager is tinkering with the lineup too much. And here's the thing. I get why he's tinkering with the lineup. What do you see when you see a guy who thinks their job might be in jeopardy? And you better believe Joe Girardi's had that thought cross his mind since the Phillies did not give him his extension that they could have offered him. And he's kind of coaching as a lame duck manager. Well, what runs through his mind? I could be done here. And what's his response? Well, I got to make some changes. I got to make this team good. I got to have them win games. So I'm going to tinker and show management and show ownership that I'm doing stuff, that I'm trying here, that I'm fighting to try and help this team win games, and maybe it'll save my job. And it's hard to tell a manager in that position, dude, you just got to set it and let it go. Because if the players underperform, he could be going that way, and he could go out by just taking a less aggressive approach. And a term that pops up in sports all the time, a phrase rather, is rather someone make aggressive mistakes. Well, Joe Girardi's certainly making aggressive mistakes. He's trying to fix stuff, but I think he just needs to set the lineup and leave it for an extended period of time, whether that's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. You look at some of the names on this team. Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber, Rhys Hoskins, JT Realmuto, Gene Segura, of course, Bryce Harper. You hear those names. Those are guys that have hit at the major league level really darn consistently over a period of years. Those are veteran bats that have been around the block a time or two. They're too good to be a sub-500 team. I firmly believe, and this is where I had to say to the guys in the conversation that we were having on air at the Fanatic, yeah, you guys could be right. I'm projecting stuff out. I'm assuming that this team has too much talent to be a 500 team. I could be wrong. This could be what they are, but I don't believe that right now. I haven't seen anything to prove that to me right now, despite their struggles. And I think if you just set a lineup and give these guys consistency, they're good enough hitters that they're going to hit their way out of slumps. They're going to find their way to win games. And less is almost more when it comes to the adjustments needed. And that's why I think what they're doing right now is sustainable. They just need to sustain it. Stop making all these random lineup changes every day, position changes. Sustain it and see if you can actually go ahead and win with the talent you have, because I firmly believe that they absolutely can. That's where I stand right now on the consistency, the sustainability, and what happened in yesterday's game. But in the next segment, we're going to look forward. We got another game tonight. Did I say the Angels? I think I said the Angels in the open. It's the Los Angeles Dodgers that come to town, and they're not going to be happy after the Phillies took 3 of 4 from them out there in LA. Well, we'll get into it and see if the Phillies have a chance to take another series from their foes out west in the next segment. Today's episode is brought to you by Built Bar. I love brownies, but you know what I love more? Brownie batter. And sometimes I stick my finger in there and I eat the batter before it gets cooked. It tastes great, right? What if that was healthy for you, though, and it also helped you get some protein in? Well, you're in luck because Built has a new creation, brownie batter puffs. What puffs are? Protein-infused chocolate-covered marshmallows, and the new brownie batter flavor is awesome. They just shipped me some of those along with the birthday cake puffs, and it just they taste amazing. Listen to some of these numbers: 140 calories, 17 grams of protein, and only 7 grams of sugar. You'd expect that from some nasty protein bar that you get off a shelf at a convenience store. No, not with Built Bar. They taste amazing. It's because they use 100% real chocolate. You actually enjoy eating it, and it gets you healthy. It helps you stay in shape or get ready to be in shape for summer. The brownie batter puffs will have you completely forgetting that you are eating a protein bar, and there's no need to pinch yourself. It's real life. Go to Built.com to get the brownie batter puffs now, and I'll cut you a deal. If you go to Built.com and use promo code LOCK15, you can get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. All right, let's get ready for the Philadelphia Phillies series with the Los Angeles Dodgers that starts tonight at 7:05. So we're going to look through the pitching matchups. We're going to see exactly what the Phillies have that they could take advantage of. Now, the first one is going to be an interesting matchup. It's Ranger Suarez against Julio Urias tonight. Now, the Phillies can absolutely take advantage of Urias. I believe they lost the series ender to him, if I remember correctly, because he faced Aaron Nola in the last game of that series. But that was not because really what Urias did. I mean, he was good in that one, but the Phillies had a chance to win that game, and they choked it away at the end. He's a beatable pitcher. He certainly is, and the Phillies can take that game. I don't know if I give them the edge in that one, just because Ranger Suarez is still working his way into what we thought he could be this year, following up a great year in 2021. But the Phillies certainly have a chance. Then you get Aaron Nola going on Saturday against, well, a pitcher that has not been determined for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Still trying to figure out what's going on with Clayton Kershaw, the Dodgers are. So they're trying to work through. He's got the SI joint inflammation that kept him out of the series last weekend with the Philadelphia Phillies out in LA. Will he be ready to return? I don't know. He got put on the 10-day IL. So we'll see if he's going to be available to pitch. And if so, is he going to have some rust? That's something to take a look at. But that's worth taking a look at, because if the Phillies can get somebody besides Clayton Kershaw in that second game and have Aaron Nola on the bump, well, I really like their odds. And I like their odds again when they face off against the Dodgers on Sunday, because you're going to face Tony Gonsolin. Who's Tony Gonsolin? That's a great question. Well, he's a 28-year-old. He's from California, apparently. I'm just reading on his ESPN stats page here. He's been with the Dodgers for a couple years. Looks like he's been up since 2019. This year, a 1.64 ERA and 103 whip, 33 innings pitched, 30 Ks. And he's been solid. He's a guy that's been all right for them, but he's the back end of their rotation guy. So is he going to be able to step up and really take over in the Philadelphia Phillies series for the Dodgers? He's a relief pitcher by trade. He's not really a starter. He's been pushed into that role due to injuries and issues out there with the Dodgers rotation. Tony Gonsolin, though, is a guy that you can take advantage of, and that could just be a bullpen game for the Dodgers where he goes 2-3 innings, and then they have to fight through with the bullpen the rest of the way. He's going to face off against Zach Eflin, who has a great opportunity. Normally when Eflin takes the mound, well, you like the other team because Eflin is probably the 5 on the Philadelphia Phillies staff. But against Tony Gonsolin, I'll take Zach Eflin. I like him in that matchup. I honestly think the Phillies could be favored in each of these games, especially with the struggles that the Dodgers have had early in this season. They're going to heat up at some point. Just got to hope it's not in this trip to Philadelphia. And you know they're going to be looking for revenge. But, hey, the Philadelphia Phillies have opportunities against the Dodgers to take advantage of some favorable pitching matchups that you don't normally get when you play Los Angeles. There have been some questions about the start that some of the players out in LA have got on. Just looking at some of the numbers, and I know we just went through this, but really their guy is Freddie Freeman batting 312. Other guys on the team, I don't know, Trey Turner's batting 280, Mookie Betts up to 262, but not really tearing the cover off the ball. But some of these guys, like Cody Bellinger's batting 205, Max Muncy batting 167, Justin Turner batting 203. It's not really a situation where these guys have started to hit yet. You just saw them recently. What does that mean for pitching? Well, it's not a great thing, especially considering that there were 4 games, so they already saw Wheeler. Or I don't think they saw Wheeler. No, Wheeler had the last game against the Mariners, I believe. They saw Nola. They saw Suarez. They saw Gibson. I believe the other one was Wheeler as well. But when you see these pitchers and you see them in back-to-back series or close to series or stuff like that, it allows the advantage to shift over to the offensive side. That could help the Phillies get back on track because they're comfortable with things, but they didn't really see these pitchers that they're facing because we got a question mark for Saturday's game. We have Tony Gonsolin, who they didn't see in the last series, on Sunday's game. So it may give advantage to the Dodgers. But there's also something to be said about a team just having another team's number. We see it with the Marlins all the time against the Philadelphia Phillies. The Marlins take advantage of the Phillies anytime they play. Well, maybe, just maybe, the Phillies can actually be the team that has someone's number this time, and they can have the number of a superiorly talented Dodgers team. It's certainly possible. It's inside the realm of possibility that the Phillies can come out and take care of business against the Dodgers and win another series. We've seen it before. And the one thing I'll say about this Phillies team that I have seen, that I saw in that series against the Dodgers, when they play teams, even when they play the Mets, and they end up coming up short significantly against the Mets, or sorry, I shouldn't say significantly, coming up short, though, in games against the Mets, but they fight against the better teams. They give those better teams tough games, and they even stole a couple out in Los Angeles. So I know they're going to fight, and maybe when you play better competition, a team like this with veterans, with fiery guys like Nick Castellanos and Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber, well, they get up for these games more than the average game, and it can lead to increased performance. These are all things we're hoping to look for in yet another series with the Los Angeles Dodgers, which starts tonight, 7:05, Citizens Bank Park. Should be an interesting one with a hot weekend. Going to be 96 on Saturday. So you look at the weather. Well, the weather seems like hitting season, as Charlie Manuel would call it. Does that benefit the Dodgers, who are used to that type of heat? Does it benefit the Phillies, who need that type of weather to get the ball starting to fly at Citizens Bank Park because the ball was not flying well in that series with the San Diego Padres? Who knows? We're going to see it, interestingly enough, play out in their series with the Dodgers as they wrap everything up this weekend and then get ready for another matchup. Yeah, I know. We got to see them again. Another darn matchup with the New York Mets. So we're getting you all set up, and hopefully the Phillies can steal 2 of the 3 games, or maybe even a sweep. If it had been a 3-game series last time against the Dodgers, they would have swept. We'll see what the Phillies can do, and I'll have your updates as we go through that series. But in our final segment today, we've got Off the Poll. We got a poll question I got to run by you guys. I want to talk about it. Got an interesting one for you about what we talked about in the first segment. I'll tell you about that in just a second. Oh, of course, I always want to thank you for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. I also want you to check out Locked On Nows, though. Nows are immediate reactions from our hosts reacting to games, wins, losses, breaking news, everything to help you keep up with what's going on around Major League Baseball, and you're getting them in real time. It's only available on the Locked On Network because we're the only ones that cover your teams day in and day out to this extent across Major League Baseball. So if you want to check out what's going on in the landscape of Major League Baseball, go ahead and check out Locked On Nows. It's available wherever you get your podcasts, and it just keeps you up to date on all of the goings on in your favorite sport of baseball. I also want to tell you about our partners over at Bet Online. They continue to be the #1 source for all of your betting needs and sports info. You can find all of the latest odds, news, and sports developments, including this year's basketball playoffs, Major League Baseball scores, fights, and even next season's NFL futures. Bet some money on the Birds. Who knows what's going to happen? They've got a talented team this year. Bet Online is your continued source for all of your sporting wagering information, from live betting to playoffs to esports and more. They've got everything. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. Bet Online. It's where the game starts. Okay, so I'm basically going to retool the question that I answered myself in the first segment for you for Off the Pole. Now, what Off the Pole is, if you're not familiar, it's a segment off the pole, like hitting it off the foul pole, but it's a poll question. You get to play on words. What I'm going to do is I'm going to post a Twitter poll. We do it every Friday show or Saturday, the last show of the week, before we get ready to head into the weekend, give you time to react. And it allows me to hear what you're thinking out there about the Philadelphia Phillies and interesting topics. So it'll be posted on Twitter at LO_Phillies. I'll retweet it from my account at ConnorThomas975, which you can just see right there. And you can respond so that you can have your voice be heard right here on Locked On Phillies via Twitter poll. And again, just repurposing the question from earlier is what we're going to do for this week's Off the Poll segment. You have two options. Joe Girardi can go one of two ways. It's choose your own adventure. Would you rather, A, have Joe Girardi basically set it and forget it, set a lineup for the next month, and outside of off days or injuries, don't change anything. Don't flip the positions. I don't care if someone's hitting 100 in the leadoff spot. Leave them out there until they hit their way out of it. Or you can have him continue to tinker as he's currently doing and try and find a combination that works best. Those are your two options. We're going to set it out for like a month window. So like over the next month, would you rather see him continue to tinker until the Phillies start winning, or set it and forget it? And I'll explain that in the Twitter poll. I'll word that all out. So when you see that, you can be reminded of exactly what you're answering. But that's our question for Off the Poll. And then on Monday's episode, I'm going to not only recap the Dodgers series, but I'm going to respond to that Off the Poll question and what you say, because I've given my thoughts pretty much, but I'm very interested to see where you go on it as a listener of the show, as a fan of the Philadelphia Phillies. So go ahead and check that out on Twitter. And give us your responses, because I'd be really, really interested to see what you have to say on that front. That's all I've got for you for today's show. I want to thank you, as always, for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On MLB. Paul Francis Sullivan, Sully, he's awesome. Knows baseball inside and out. He's great with stories. He knows the game. He follows the history of the game, and he gives you everything you need to cover the big storylines around Major League Baseball day in and day out. It's a great podcast, Locked On MLB. It's available wherever you get your podcasts. I want to thank you for rating, reviewing, subscribing. If you've done so already, if you haven't, what are you waiting for? Rate, review, subscribe, get your notifications every time a new episode comes out. Have your chances to comment and everything like that, and interact more and help us build Locked On Phillies to be the best show that it could be. It's not all on you. Of course, I'm working hard to give you guys great daily content. So please, just throw me a bone. Hit that subscribe button. Just one little click, nice and easy. When you go to YouTube, just click subscribe to the channel, or click follow on the Twitter, or click like on the podcast, whatever you got to do. I really appreciate all the feedback, subscriptions, everything like that. That's all I've got for you today. And hopefully the Phils can take a series from the Dodgers. But I will talk to you following. We're going to have a Saturday episode. Yeah, one will come out tomorrow. It'll be our 6th episode of the week, but I'm crushing a little overtime because of an interesting series going on against a very good opponent. So I will talk to you all on Locked On Phillies tomorrow.